Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All rise, football fans, as the Welton Rayom Miami Dolphins report with David Furones is in session.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They are committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. Here's Miami Dolphins insider David Furones.
All right. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
I'm feeling pretty good. I have an off season ahead of me, so and 1 week earlier than the past 2 years. So I'm feeling like pretty soon here I'll be refreshed after getting through what was still a long season. I had a lot going on.
Yeah, and not only is it a long season, I think it's going to be a long off season because really not going. You see, we're headed into an off season of discontent. No one is happy with the way we're going into the offseason. Like for me, I'm not happy about Mike McDaniel staying at all. Some people, it's Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier. Some people, it's Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier, and Tua. Some people, it's Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier, Tua, and Ross sell the team. So no one is really going into this offseason. All media is asking, really? Is it you're not doing anything? And fans are asking, really? You're not doing anything? And because you're not doing anything, this is the off season of discontent, and people will think, well, you're not doing anything to fix it.
Yeah, I hear you. And so, I mean, Steve Ross made the statement that he's bringing back Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. I feel like with him also indicating that he's not content with the status quo. It was why I asked a question today of, are you guys operating Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel, as we spoke to them, sort of with an understanding at your levels that things need to change for the better and fast. And I think so. I mean, Grier, of course, gave an answer about how they always communicate things and how many things they communicate going into an off season and how those are always the expectations. But I think there is that next year this is going to be a tandem that is a hot seat tandem that it'll be sitting on with the way this team failed to reach expectations at a moment where it was critical for the team to win now, because so much has been invested in to winning now in these seasons that we have going on, a whole rebuild, all the tanking attempt that occurred in 2019 to the draft picks, to then pivoting to going from drafting in the first round to getting rid of your picks so that you bring in established talent, and then all these high price contracts and the restructures and guarantees added and extensions offered. And it's all culminated into, this is the team that you have. And now you have to end up winning on the back end of this. So it's failed expectations that have been met to this point, and now it's just going to get hotter and hotter as 2025 is a year where time is really ticking.
By the way, Welton Rayom, proud sponsors of this segment, obviously with David Furones throughout the year and even during the season and post-game shows. Reach out to Jeff Welton, Daniel Rayom if you need some great lawyers. We've experienced it. A lot of our listeners have. We saw it firsthand. They crush Progressive. All right, bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, which is what we had. We had some kids go right through the wall of our house, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. Call Welton Rayom. You will love it. Trust me, they're in Hollywood, 954-966-4646. So I say they failed by not firing Mike McDaniel. I would have fired him right after the Colts loss, as you know. And I would have gone right after Vrabel at that moment. Where does David Furones say Stephen Ross, the Miami Dolphins, failed by not doing this offseason? What is it?
The Miami Dolphins failed by not doing this. The culture that is currently present in this locker room, which is one where, and I think Mike McDaniel said plenty today that he was trying to get over with a message that he delivered. It's this relaxed environment where players, and this would be Tyreek Hill, feeling like he can just go and take himself out of a game at the end. Players not either missing meetings or being late to things. And the team has tried to find guys and maybe leadership within the rosters from the player standpoint not coming through in this regard. So it's that there's a toughness that still needs to be added there. I think there were guys, something like a Jordan Brooks being brought in, Calais Campbell, the input that he has as a leader. So there were some of the right guys that you want in the locker room brought on. But then when you have a Tyreek Hill doing the stuff that he does off the field and, being one of the more established players and not presenting himself to the rest of the team the way he needs to, that says a lot right there. So it's that aspect. And then from just a personnel standpoint, listen, you're committed to Tua. And by the way, yes, I mean
you're telling me mistakes. I'm telling you what changes do you make? What changes? Because you're telling me about culture. Yeah, that's obvious. But so is Mike McDaniel the guy to change the culture? Or like I say, he can't change a culture. I don't think he's a leader of men, actually. I don't think even he's an offensive coordinator or a head coach. I think
not even an offensive coordinator, huh?
No, he's not even a fucking offensive coordinator. You can't. He's an insult to offensive coordinators, okay? So I say they failed by not firing him. I know all the things that they've done wrong. Tell me what changes that they failed not to make. What is it?
Well, that's the thing. He'll have to now prove to be a guy who can make that change and changing a culture.
You wouldn't have made a change. You would have stayed with everybody and then hope for the best. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I've been consistent on that all year. I didn't think this was the year to make a wholesale change like that, even if it goes to an 8-9 season, and it was 2-6 at one point, and then they ultimately did make a run where they were still in it going into Week 18. But a wholesale change like that, I've remained consistent that I was not making for this season, regardless. But I feel like Mike McDaniel was the one that did get Tua Tagovailoa to a certain point in his career, and that's to the utmost importance as to why he ended up being your franchise quarterback, debate whether or not that contract should have been given to him, especially now that you have seen him miss 6 games this past season. But I feel like off of his first 2 seasons, then it would have really had to be an unmitigated disaster, like one where you turn into one of the worst teams picking at the top of the draft now next year for it to change that quickly. So I think you've committed to this core way too much where you have to see it out. And that means this is the roster that Grier has put together. This is the team that he has worked in conjunction to build with Mike McDaniel. And then it's them two together tied at the hip. And then beyond that, if it fails again this year, then that's when you start to make wholesale changes.
Is that hip stable?
There's one hip, only one hip you can.
I'm just saying, if they're tied to the hip, I just want to know, is that hip stable?
Oh, okay, yeah, because I said tied to the hip. Okay, nowadays you talk hip, you talk a hip, and I'm in this building. I think you're talking about one hip, which is the quarterback of Tua Tagovailoa, the one of quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
It's called wordplay, young man. That's all.
Very good.
Just having some fun, since you said they're tied to the hip.
Tied to the hip.
I hope that hip is more stable than the other hip that they're tied to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I talked about it today on the show. I think they'll go after Garoppolo or Josh Dobbs. I think those are 2 targets. They both signed 1-year deals. One with San Francisco and the other one with the Rams. 2 coaches, 2 systems that have similarities to what is run here. 2 backups that are kind of in that realm. I think that's what's going to happen here. They're going to get a guy like that here, and then I think there's a possibility they could draft somebody too in the middle rounds. Whether it's a Dart or a Quinn Ewers, if he declares and he drafts, falls to the 2nd round or something, 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds. If there's somebody there that's got some ability and they think it's enough, I can see that happening too, because Skyler's not the answer and Snoop is not the answer. How do you attack the backup quarterback position?
Yeah, I would go the prime veteran backup route. So one of the better free agents out there. So I like what you just said, Jimmy Garoppolo. I would like him, especially since you are bringing back Mike McDaniel and his system. Then he has played in this system, has come up in it with San Francisco. So I would certainly like that move if the Dolphins could get him. I think he would be really. You mentioned in a previous interview with me saying you have to prioritize and get the best backup quarterback you can. I feel like he's probably right up there. It's tough to really just analyze the small movement of is this guy 31, 32, 33, 34 in the league. I mean, he might be around there. Aside from that, I mean, like an Andy Dalton could be someone. He came into a game and won. If there's a Joe Flacco possibility, though now he's getting older, but he was just comeback player of the year before.
He doesn't have the footwork. He doesn't have the footwork to run this offense.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Kind of slow and sluggish, and he doesn't. I don't think he has the arm and he has accuracy, but I don't know if he can make the movement stuff that you need. I don't think people give Tua enough credit for what he does to run this offense, to be quite honest. And I don't think Joe Flacco can do it, actually. I don't think he fits. You got to have better footwork overall.
Okay, yeah. So, but I mean, I would go the veteran backup route just because in the event, and maybe it's an if and when Tua gets injured again the next time, which in 2023 he did prove he could be healthy, but went right back to failing to do that in 2024. Then I want a guy who, for a team that's in a win now window, that he can bridge you that gap, that you can insert and say and feel confident. Okay, this guy can. If it's an easy stretch, he can maybe win 2 out of these 3. If it's a tough stretch, whatever the case may be, he goes out there and competes for you in those games, and doesn't necessarily mean that your season goes awry completely, like we saw this past season where the Dolphins went 2-4 in the 6 games that Tua missed. But Chris Grier did say that the draft is also somewhere where the team will be looking. So time will tell if they really fall in love with someone in the draft and maybe want to go like a mid-round pick there. But
I think you have to do it, dude. I think you have to do it.
Yeah.
And by the way, as a one of my sharp listeners brought this up, and I missed out on that. You lose Weaver, you're going to get a 3rd round pick. Correct?
Oh, right. So yeah, there's another selection that would be thrown
Okay.
in. Yeah, like the
So
49ers have had so many with all the assistants and yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and as that sharp listener put it, then you get Salah, who's another minority. And if by some chance he, so whatever, I'm just saying, but there's at least that. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 3rd rounders. I'm not even sure how much they get or whatever it is, but they're going to get a 3rd rounder for Weaver if he does. That is the positive of losing Weaver, is that you are going to get it, and that will add to, hey, we can get a quarterback because the beauty is that 1st round pick. The way I look at it, you're going to be able to get a defensive tackle or a guard/tackle, right? But then in the 2nd and 3rd and 4th rounds, believe it or not, you could get defensive tackle, you could get guards, you could get a quarterback, you could get a safety. All those kind of things kind of fall in that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. But in that 1st round, I think you want to try to get that best interior lineman that you can first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from your lips to the Dolphins brass's ears, because that hasn't been a position where the Dolphins have gone high in the draft and emphasized there, outside of maybe Robert Hunt, who was at first a right tackle, but then moved to right guard. Liam Eichenberg was drafted as a tackle before he was kicked inside. Patrick Paul, then he was drafted as a left tackle, of course. So, but I mean, that's what I was saying last draft. I would have liked Graham Barton in that pick, maybe even in a trade down scenario, but you can't say anything wrong with what did occur with Chop Robinson, and I like his potential as an edge rusher here. So definitely ended up approving of the 1st round pick. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of directions you can go, and getting that extra pick in some of those mid rounds where you could go for some of those beef up positions, which is something the Dolphins might need to do. Then that's a good point as well.
All right. Grier talked about the conversation with Tua and talked about how he needs to be available and not being available because you take chances or risks are unacceptable. Your thoughts on kind of calling that part out, which is the obvious, but it's not a good look for Tua, by the way. It says one thing and does the other, and basically has cost the season. So what'd you think of Grier kind of calling him out, I guess?
Yeah, that's the same message you've been sending on your program, and it was refreshing to hear that and hear Grier take such a strong stance in the way he delivered that message. So it became very evident that this was communicated clearly to Tua, and there was that one week when we finally heard him say it, and he stepped up to here behind me at the podium and made that clear that he felt remorse for the way he truly cost the season to go down the route that it did by not keeping himself available. Of course, he said that, and then his hip injury then cost him another 2 games. According to what Chris Grier said today, then he has vowed to improve in that area, and he vows to keep himself healthy going forward. So he as well gets this chance to prove it. Either it happens or it doesn't. And if he continues to put himself at risk, it's been communicated as clearly and as many times as it possibly can to him at this point. So he's going to have to change.
A lot of people have been worried about the hip injury and, he's going to have surgery or this, that, or whatever. Well, apparently you guys asked him and there were 0 concerns about that. So it doesn't look like there's going to be any surgery or anything or any concerns, any lingering concerns moving forward, in other words.
Right. And they've said that this hip injury is completely unrelated to the one that cost him the end of his college career. So same hip, but different spot. and that it was a unique muscle issue. So not really something related to what happened to him in November of 2019, and then sort of put him at a little bit of a disadvantage starting his NFL career, especially as COVID happened, missing a training camp and not really being able to do a lot of football activity through that draft process and then into his first training camp.
By the way, lawyers you can count on, especially here in Florida, the new rules, the new laws favor the insurance companies, not us. So make sure you hire the right people to represent you in court. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rayom, they are the best. 954-966-4646. They are the best here in Florida, right next to the Gulf of America. All right, let's get to the elephant in the room now. Tyreek Hill. We kind of expected that, este tipo está loco. He's going to tell you one thing one day and completely say the other thing the other day. You guys asked about the meeting and all that good stuff. What did you get?
Yeah, that what Chris Grier has had communicated to him is that he has not heard word directly from Tyreek Hill that Tyreek wants to be traded from the Miami Dolphins. So a lot of sort of what we probably expected is Tyreek was voicing some frustration, end of the season, things not going his way. Obviously, he had a rough season where it's the first one that he won't be a Pro Bowler for. He failed to reach 1,000 yards despite him playing in every game. Had quarterbacks coming in and out, had 4 different quarterbacks throwing to him this season, if my count is correct. And there's just a finality of 2024 with the Dolphins sort of all built up and was released in that way when he spoke post-game at MetLife Stadium. So, and then he sort of doubles downs on it with the profile picture change of him as Antonio Brown fleeing from the field at MetLife Stadium, also in a game against the Jets. And then today I checked back, and after Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel said they had a productive hour-long conversation where they're trying to rebuild the relationship there. Now Tyreek Hill has restored his profile picture on his X platform. So maybe things are now 2 days later getting better again as they try to rework this relationship. So, but a trade would be far from.
Let me ask you something, because on this show we're a little more brutally honest here. Is there any chance that there was this conversation that, hey, they're trying to repair the relationship? Or maybe Chris Grier and Drew Rosenhaus kind of sat down and said, hey, you realize that he's stuck with us. We're stuck with him. He needs to make the best of this. We need to make the best of this because we can't fucking trade him. We have no – I get it, bro. I don't want to ruin your hopium writing and everybody else writing about, half the cap here if you could trade him after June 1st and this and that. And it's like asinine shit that people are coming up with. They can't afford to take any kind of cap hit like that. So he's stuck on this roster. I've been trying to tell people, but I think his dumbass may not realize this. I'm just wondering if maybe they sat down and said, hey, you need to come to reality. You need to make this work because you're stuck here. You took that contract. You wanted your money. You got your money. They're stuck with you. Even if they wanted to get rid of you, they can't get rid of you. So there might be a little reality of that too, right?
Absolutely. And that's probably somewhere where that conversation went in that hour long, where that probably fills in some of the holes of when Chris Grier says we're going to keep specifics to that conversation internal. That's probably where some of that stuff is like, hey, like it or not, we got to work together. So yes, that is the reality of the situation, is that as much as maybe Tyreek Hill might not like what's going on. And by the way, Chris Grier did say he did not backtrack. Tyreek Hill did not backtrack in his statements. Granted, he has never asked him for a trade, but at least he probably expressed some of the same sentiments that he did publicly through the media after that game at MetLife Stadium. But at the end of the day, this is the reality of the situation. And that's why Drew Rosenhaus was on the program on WSVN late Sunday night saying he's got to talk to Tyreek Hill. And it probably had a lot to do with that too. Like, Tyreek, no, you made your bed here. You wanted the big contract, all the guarantees. This is what it is, and you can't go back on that now.
On fire, but you can't light this bed on fire. Unfortunately, we all got to lay in this bed with you, Tyreek. So don't light it on fire, please. Okay, that's all.
Right.
Or don't have your kid around the bed. You're not touching that, are you, huh? You're not touching that one, huh? All right. Anyway, so now that they're kind of stuck together, the other one that came out, and you guys kind of, had to go in that direction is the offensive line. And, it was kind of a declaration. What was it? We plan to invest in the offensive line, correct? Is that what you heard?
Yeah, we need to invest in the offensive line now. Hold on, we're going to have to invest in the offensive line now. I have it right here.
What'd you think?
Yeah, reality also hitting them there. Of course, everyone poked fun at Chris Grier for his statements previously and saying that everyone else is more concerned about the offensive line than they are internally. So that was a bold statement to make when they did not invest at the guard positions. Of course, they have drafted highly with all the tackles I mentioned earlier in this segment. Bringing in Teron Armstead on a big free agent contract deal. So that was a high-priced investment on the offensive line. But, yeah, we've seen the investment in the tackles. They brought in Aaron Brewer, who's a good center. Previously have done the same with Connor Williams, who they got 2 good years out of. But then guards, they went the very cheap route. It wasn't just cheap route. They went the extremely cheap route. With Isaiah Wynn not coming back in time, then it was 2 guys that did not win a guard competition the year before, and then you were hoping you could get starter quality reps out of them the next season. So, and it hit them in the face. It hit them in the face, that decision.
They didn't Isaiah win the reps, is what you're saying?
Yeah, more wordplay from you. Listen, it wasn't a win-win situation.
No, it was not. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, and now they'll be in the Robert Hunt for some starting guards this offseason.
For more guards, yes, they will.
Yeah.
Yes, they will. So now you got to start looking at who's going to be the free agent guards. Although the funny part would be, are they going to be the team that has to overpay for a guard from somebody else, or do they just spend it on a high pick? Which I kind of think that might be the option. That you spend a high pick on somebody that maybe might be a little bit more versatile and can actually play both positions, something like that. I think
right. And picking at number 13 in the first round, I don't know if that's where you want to go for a guard. I know that's just more of the same of, all right, well, not investing a high pick. Maybe that's where you go in the second round. But, 13th, I assume there would be a better position to address. I have to see how the draft shakes out. There's just still so many months before it and so many breakdowns and mock drafts. So, I mean, I'm not even aware of who the top guards are in this draft right now. So.
Will Campbell is one of them from LSU. He's a guard tackle. He'll be in that.
Okay,
area.
And he's a guard in tackle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the kind of guy they like, because if something happens to one of your tackles, they can kick him outside, and he has the length, and he's not going to go in the top 10. He's going to go in the second 10 or maybe even early 20s, somewhere around there. That's one of those names that are going to be
right in line. Yeah,
something like that. So I expect them to do that. And I expect
free agency and the draft there. Like there's been off seasons where they needed multiple cornerbacks. There's been and then that's when they went Jalen Ramsey, and then also Cater Cole was the year before that, but and then Cam Smith, and they went Cam Smith in the draft, right? So
I can see them bringing Wynn back to be
because he got healthy.
You compete for guard with somebody that we're going to bring in. If you can beat him out and you can stay healthy, you got the job. But because he can play guard and tackle, and he knows the system already, I think that's the one guy that you do keep next year, because he's shown you more whenever he has been healthy than Eichenberg has in consistency. So I'd rather take him over Eichenberg in consistency as a backup, and then he's battling, maybe even another undrafted guy that you got also in the draft somewhere, after the 7th round, that you picked up another guard or two or something like that. Because I'm sure there's a lot of that in this, that they're going to maybe sign a free agent, draft a guy, and then either take another draft pick late in the draft, 6th, 7th round, or right when it's undrafted time, get somebody like that. I can see them doing shit like that because they've got to go and get guards from all over the places to see if they hit on one.
Yeah, and of course, free agency comes before the draft, so I feel like one of those free agents in mid-March, that first wave of free agency, you have to go and address that position with one starter there, and that assumes, yes, you are moving on from Liam Eichenberg, seeing if he goes, for him, if he finds another landing spot. And probably the same with Robert Jones as well. Unless they come back with an understanding you are a backup. If they can't find anything else that's better, that might come later on in free agency if it were to develop. And then at the other spot, maybe it's an Isaiah Wynn competition with maybe a early to mid round draft pick. If it's not in the first round, but an early to mid round draft pick that you're bringing in, seeing how quickly he can develop and become a starter. If Isaiah Wynn has that over him, then that'll be the starter. Then that rookie would then have to work their way and develop into eventually earning those starter reps. If you do end up going that first round, that top guard tackle player, then maybe you could go that route. But I would just want to make sure I have someone in line from the first wave of free agency in March before you get to the late April draft. So I wouldn't want that top flight guard upgrade to wait until that late. I want to make sure I have one guy in the first wave of free agency.
And by the way, I got a bone to pick with Dave. That's what you need to know there on the chat board. Dave, you're insulting Happy Meals. Okay, stop being an asshole. You want to trade Eichenberg for a Happy Meal. Happy Meals are way more valuable than Eichenberg. That's just wrong on your part, bro. Stop insulting Happy Meals. What's wrong with you? Mike McDaniel. That was look. Almost everything else I expected Tyreek's U-turn and complete, because I know that they're all stuck with it and all that kind of crap. Most of the other stuff I expected. McDaniel, I was just hoping that maybe common sense would prevail and he'd give Frank Smith a chance. And you asked him the question. You were the one that asked him, are you still going to be calling plays?
That's right. And essentially, he did say he will remain as the play caller, and that he thinks about it all the time. And when the day comes where he believes he is not best.
So do I. I think about it all the time, and it's fucking depressing.
But you think about it. You think about it with a different mindset. You think about how you feel that Mike is not the man to call plays, but his stance.
He can't be the man. He's not the man. I'm telling you, he's not the man. He's not the man. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. But essentially, yes, his stance is that he feels he is best to call plays, and that whenever that day comes where he does not feel that's the case, then he will delegate that.
Does he know that day arrived like well over a year ago? That day arrived. That day arrived at the end of the first season when he's sitting there with his face going, "It's 4th down." That's when that was the day that Mike McDaniel should have just, hey, Frank, here's the call sheet. I'm out of here. I'll just hang around and, just to run the show, but you call the plays. That was the day right there. The day that your play caller doesn't know it's 4th down in a playoff game, that was the billboard right there.
Yeah. And I wonder what that says on a deeper level of his belief in Frank Smith to take the next step. And we've seen Frank Smith get some head coaching interviews in the past. And now that was when the Dolphins offense was going better. We haven't seen his name go around this year for head coaching interviews. But because Smith is a non-play calling OC, and then Mike seems to not want to give up those duties and have him.
By the way, it was a hell of
that delegation.
Frank Smith. Hell of a slap in the face of Frank Smith. When I don't feel I'm the best person for it, then I'll pass it on.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of like
what he's saying, right?
That's kind of like shitting on your assistant. Like, yeah, these guys aren't shit, bro. They can't do what I do. You're kind of supposed to say, hey, we got some great coaches, and I know Frank Smith is well deserving of it, but I have a passion for this, and I feel that I can still do a great job for this team and this and that. Flat out by saying I'm still the best person on this team for it. It's just, it's kind of like you're kind of like just crushed everybody under you. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was not necessarily worded the right way. Let's put it that way for him.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. And it's not just Frank Smith, but then you also have an option like Darrell Bevell as quarterbacks coach, who has ample OC experience in his career.
Yeah. So I kind of found that kind of odd there. Chubb, is he here or is he gone? Does he line up for the Dolphins in 2025?
Yeah, I'll lean toward, and I know it's a possibility with the post June 1 cut designation, but I'll lean toward that they bring him back and that they form sort of a trio, and he might not be a starter to begin with. Now you'll have to see how they all come back in training camp, and which one between Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb looks more like themselves. But I think Chop Robinson probably deserves to, and just if you think of his natural progression, should get to the starter caliber by his second year. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. And maybe it's a 3-man rotation. One of them is going on either side, moving around. But I feel like a trio there with all of them healthy. And if you have Ogba back on a cheaper contract, then that gives you a lot of depth. And we know depth is valuable on the edge. So that would be a good situation for just being able to keep guys fresh, rotating on the edge, and keeping some of these two players who are coming back from significant injury again, maybe not as vulnerable to an aggravation or another new significant injury.
Unless he's willing to take a serious haircut, I think he's gone.
And that's something you gotta bring up.
You gotta fix guards. You need a backup quarterback. You need a middle linebacker.
Yeah.
You need a defensive tackle. You need a safety. Draft picks can help you, but you can't count on them. You got to hope that one or two help you out in one of those positions. But you're going to need some veteran players. You're going to need some money. I think he's going to be a sacrificial lamb there because they need the cap space. Calais Campbell. Your thoughts? Does he come back?
Boy, well, so today they Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel said that that the Dolphins are in the mix, would be very strongly considered in the event that Calais Campbell does decide to return. He's going to be 39 next season, but we still see he plays at such a high level. I would venture to say maybe he does. Maybe this is hopium coming out of me, but I feel like he really liked the time that he had here in Miami. Like the way he was able to come in as a leader. But
Weaver will probably not be here. So
yeah, we don't have to make a contingent on that because Weaver played a big role in why he came here.
Now that I gave you the caveat that Weaver will probably not be here, does Calais Campbell come back or not?
Yeah. Well, and here's the other tough thing is, all right, Weaver's a great head coaching candidate in this cycle, but remember, you also have Mike Vrabel getting back into the mix here, and he's going to be taking a job. You probably have Lions OC Ben Johnson taking one of the jobs. I mean, Rex Ryan has talked about that he wants to get back into things with the Jets. I don't know if that would develop, but
that would be great. No. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? What an idiot I am. You know what? Rex Ryan. Welcome back to the NFL. The New York Jets. Yes. What?
I know. Hey, over here, you're saying it for the same reasons, but I bet in Jets country they want him back too.
Fantastic idea. You know, the light it's shining on me right now. Yes, definitely. Yes. Tannenbaum should be the GM permanently too. On top.
Oh yeah, just make it an ESPN over there. It'll be it.
Yes, let's do that. And you know what? Bring back Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
That too. You know, even though
he crushed the Dolphins this year.
Rex hates him, Bring him back, bro. Let's go. Dark room and all. Let's go. Yes.
And we'll have to see how many head coaching jobs end up becoming available. I know Antonio Pierce, that one just opened up there, making it 6. But it was only 5 as of Black Monday, so now 6 with Antonio Pierce. If that number stays that low,
dude, it's only 5. Vrabel's already
right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Vrabel's going to take one of these too. So, and probably in New England. So then it starts to really get down there in numbers. So there is reason to believe Anthony Weaver could come back, and he's not an offensive minded coach. Maybe a lot of these vacancies are filled with someone more on the offensive side, and whether or not Brian Flores would be considered in some league circles ahead of Weaver for another head coaching job based on how he has done it now, 2 years running as a defensive coordinator, has previous head coaching experience. Teams will have to look into everything that happened in this building with the Dolphins, of course. But, there is a possibility you do get Anthony Weaver back. So it's not so set in stone. But, if he does go and take a head coaching job, more than deserving, you could tell the way he commands the room. But in that case, since we originally got here talking about Calais Campbell, then in that situation, then I would see probably maybe Calais Campbell follows him or just goes, if it's back to Baltimore where he was trying to get to with a trade at midseason, maybe with getting waived, going back there, competing for a title, then maybe that's where it is next year. But I think he'll have to see that there is a path to a Super Bowl here. And then do the Dolphins present that after March, April, and May, when he probably makes his decision around the same time he did last year?
It could happen. It could happen. And yes, I am frozen, by the way. So sorry, you're hearing the audio at least, but I see my face is frozen there, and I can't do anything till after the show. So
I was wondering if it was just me. So that was seeing that.
You're fine. And by the way, it's an improvement, really. That way you don't have to pay attention to me. I mean, would you really want to see my face? Come on. Raheem Mostert gone?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, boy, he was one snap in what's probably going to be his last game. I think they gave him that new year last year based on the success he had in 2023, but boy, you just saw really his age just hit him hard this year, and the injuries mounted, and it would be time to move on there.
All right, let's do this real quick so we can close. I'm going to get my video back, but I need help from you guys. We're going to leave David alone on the platform for like 30 seconds. Can you see the chat board from there? You can see the chat board.
Well, what I see is okay. I switched to comments, and now I can see it. Okay,
you see it? Okay. Ask David a question while I reset here. Go ahead. Ready?
Right, let's do it.
Start sending David a question. 3, 2, and 1. Send questions in for David Furones. Welt and Rayom Q&A.
All right. Let me see. I'll probably go into. Let me see if there's something earlier while you guys type away. Yeah, entire show frozen. Yeah, it's been most of the time. Let's see. I think we got a new one. Will we be better next season or worse? Well, they better be better, because if they just went 8-9 in a season where there was expectations, you have to be better. And I would say if Tua's healthy, then yes, you end up better off for it. So that was a big reason why we saw the fall off. Probably if Tua doesn't miss the time, the Dolphins end up making the playoffs this year. They were only one game away from it, or coming down to week 18 this year. Does Ramsey come back? Yeah, I would think Ramsey does. It's not even that much of a whether I think or not. It's just the contract. They just signed him to an extension before this year. So, that screenshot of an Instagram story, I think that had nothing to do with any type of indication that he wants to leave. What veteran quarterback would you want to see back up to? We mentioned on the show, I mean, Jimmy G would be the top of my list there. Thanks for your work this year. I appreciate that, Phil. And what free agent do you want the Dolphins to re-sign? Let's see. So I think Javon Holland is the top one is out. Emmanuel Ogbo would be one. Tyrell Dodson, since they just claimed him off waivers, would be another. He had a strong second half of the season, so those would be a couple of good ones to start off. Emmanuel Ogbo as a depth piece. Once you get your edge rushers back, that would be excellent. As we get Big O to come back on with some movement, by the way. Does Armstead retire? I would lean toward yes, especially with how difficult that second half of the year was. I was hopeful for him with how he was staying healthy at the start of the year, and then I think that second half probably took a big toll on him, so I think he might lean that direction after he already was so close last year. Big O, I hit a number of questions here as they started piling in.
Stud. You're an absolute
yeah, but
I appreciate you. Yeah, because I want to keep going a couple minutes after you're done, and I want to make sure that I can actually have some video here. Tell the folks what you're working on in the Sentinel here, leading into what should be the off-season of discontent.
Yeah. Today, the Tyreek Hill update, the latest on what Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel said from their perspective, how Chris Grier said he hasn't had a trade request communicated to him. So the latest in that saga, plus everything Grier said about Tua, the backup quarterback situation, O-line going forward, and the failure to meet expectations in 2024. And going forward, then, there's just going to be a stockpile of stuff saved up. But I had a ton of interviews in the locker cleanout of yesterday as players met with reporters for the last time. So I got a bunch of interviews saved up with a lot of different player perspective that I'll be rolling out in the coming days and weeks.
By the way, the whole thing about being late and all that shit, bro, when you're playing Green Bay and it's 3rd and 16 and Waddle and Tyreek choose to walk off the field and you put two guys that shouldn't even be on an active roster out there, that's all you need to know about how undisciplined that team is. And you can just go back to that moment in that game and you put on 3rd down your two most important offensive players chose to take a breather, and you put two nobodies out there. And by the way, on one of those downs, Tua hit the guy, and he still couldn't hang on. And then the other guy couldn't run the right route. I mean, it just like, whatever, dude. So you kind of set your own team up for failure as a coach when your players have the autonomy to do whatever they want and walk off the field whenever they want.
Yeah, that kind of established the culture there, those kind of moments. It was a question with Mike McDaniel when you brought him in is he the right personality to be a leader of men, and especially in a locker room where you have big personalities. When you brought in a Tyreek Hill, a Jalen Ramsey, personalities like that part of the job is managing these personalities, and sure, I'm sure he can acquiesce with them very well. He has a history in this league of getting the most out of players, but coming from that players coach, I mean to say, perspective of being the guy that he's out there he's showing you that he's out there to help you, and sometimes he appeases your wants, but can he crack down and be tough on a player that is not content, that is behaving in a way that's not conducive to helping this team. And that's a big thing for a young coach. I mean, I think back to Eric Spoelstra early Big 3 days, and LeBron James bumping him when Bumpgate early on in that Big 3 era, and then he had to sort of say, okay, he understood who LeBron James is and the power that he has, but now getting it together to make it work, that's the challenge that Mike McDaniel has in front of him now.
Amen. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ and make sure you subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up on Friday, my friend. Appreciate you.
Sounds good.
This has been another session of the Welton Rayom Miami Dolphins Report with David Furones. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
Welton Rayom can help. That's what it's all about. So make sure you call my boys at Welt and Rayom. Yes. And don't forget EJD Construction. Yes, sir. Eric has been at it for a long time, been a proud sponsor of our show, specifically on stations and platforms now for about 9 years. Give them a ring. Dade, Broward County, not condos, only homes and businesses. 305-433-4843. Custom home construction, major home remodeling. We're talking about somebody you can trust with a great staff. He doesn't go pick up his people at Home Depot and then show up at your house. No. He's got a professional staff that will definitely take care of your home, your business, and take it to that next level. So make sure you call them, and they're fully insured. Never hire anybody that isn't fully insured to work on your property, because then you're open to a sue. So call them, 305-433-4843 for ejdconstruction.com. The Dolphins, by the way, have signed 12 players to the reserve future contracts. Wide receiver Tyreek Black, linebacker William Bradley King, safety Jordan Colbert, defensive tackle Neil Farrell, tackle Ryan Hayes, offensive lineman Chasen Hines, linebacker Daquan Jackson, cornerback Isaiah Johnson. That's the big kid. I remember him. Quarterback Jason Maitre. I like him too. I like the Maitre kid, man. He kind of made some plays in training camp, and the Isaiah Johnson kid is a really interesting athlete, man. Tackle Brian Matos, linebacker Derek McClendon, and tight end Hayden Fiorucci. All right. Those are the players assigned to future contracts. Don't forget, you can always support the show by not only visiting our amazing sponsors, but making a donation through Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Cash App or Venmo. And you can also make a Bitcoin or Ethereum donation, which we always love that. Use the QR codes that we are showing you there. And you can also make the donation through PayPal also, and use the QR code in PayPal too. Okay, there you go. Thank you all out there. Thank you. Eric Nordstrom, thank you for the love on Cash App. I appreciate that, sir. If you have any questions, you can send them in on the chat board. Let me pull up the Instagram too. Thank you all out there. Let me see. Jefe, Santiago, Pinky, Legendary, Nick, Captain Ozzy. Thank you all out there checking us out on Instagram. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. What do we have here? Mountain Man, Dolphins really want Tua to limit risk, throw the ball away. You don't have to run around and be Superman, live for the next play. Amen. That's what you're supposed to do. He should have been doing that from day one. Big O Grier admitted they tried to bring in a legit backup QB and they wanted to be here. Can you say who now? Listen, all I can tell you is they tried. And all I can tell you is I think they're going to go after Jimmy Garoppolo, who signed a 1-year deal with the Rams. I think they're going to go after Joshua Dobbs, who signed a 1-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not going to tell you who they went after last year. I can't do that. But I can tell you who I think they're going to go after. Anyway, let's see. I just want to know how Grier McDaniel convinced Mr. Ross to keep him. They know hypnosis, sir. Okay? They're all about hypnosis. And they have the magic watch, and they walked in there to Stephen Ross's office, and they put him under hypnosis. You will give us new contracts. Or maybe they have the force. These are the contracts we want. Hey, guys, We have the contracts you want. One way they did it, bro. Don't listen. I get it. You're jealous that you don't have the force either. So am I. I'm jealous. Our government gets to just print our money and devalue it all the time. They just like turn on the printer. How come I don't have a printer at home? Why doesn't every American have a printer at home? If they get a printer, why don't we get a printer? These are things that we have to deal with in life, my friend. Chris Grier has the force. You don't. These are the contracts we want. George Albany says, Big O, I have zero expectations for next season. Our luck, though, they overachieve. Yeah. You know, I was just thinking about this. I have a concert shirt that goes with the Miami Dolphins season next year. Seriously. I think I can find it. Let me you guys want to like really trip out? Okay. I'm going to trip you out.
It starts every morning before the sun comes up. Projects are laid out. Plans are made. Equipment is fueled and loaded with inventory to handle all service requests. Orders are given to an army of skilled landscape maintenance professionals, certified arbor trimmers, irrigation technicians, and licensed pest management experts who fan out to communities and businesses all over South Florida. Experienced, on time, and dependable. Our staff is fully trained, licensed, and insured. Contact us by phone, email, social media, or through our website to answer all your landscape questions. We are Cutter's Edge, Total Landscape Solutions.
By the way, please call William Quigley and the great people at Cutter's Edge Pro. They are absolutely amazing. Any of you love the Smashing Pumpkins? I love the Smashing Pumpkins. And this gentleman here, George Albany, says, I have zero expectations. So I went to see the Smashing Pumpkins a few years back. It was the end of the Times tour, the Smashing Pumpkins shirt. And, you know, I was just thinking about it. There you go. I think I'm just going to wear this shirt every Sunday when I do the pre and post game show. What the hell, right? Zero expectations. I mean, he said that, and I was like, man, my Smashing Pumpkins shirt, or one of them, because I have a couple, probably have like 4 or 5 of them from over the years. And I go, you know, I remember that shirt. I have my wardrobe for next season for every single game, my Smashing Pumpkins, because I am with George Albany. I have zero expectations. Mike McDaniel ruins it for me. So I'm with you there, bro. I'm with you there. Danny Crossman, did they fire him? Did they do that? I don't know. Did something happen there? Don't be messing with me. You're lifting my hopes up here on, you know, Danny Crossman fired. Don't do that to me. Okay? I'm trying to refresh here to see if something's going on. Is there any truth to that, by the way? Just in case, because, you know, you guys might lift my spirits a little bit today on that one. If you tell me that Danny Crossman got fired, that would be, like, really, really good. I would be like, wow, they did something right there. They didn't fire the head coach, but at least I'll take this. What the hell? No, nothing. You people throwing stuff out there. Let's see. What else do we have here? Weaver leaving and becoming a good head coach would be so Dolphins. It would be, Omar. So true, Omar. He leaves and wins a Super Bowl. That's right. That's it. Smashing Pumpkins do rock. And I got to thank them for creating a shirt for the Dolphin 2025 season before the season ever even appeared. That's pretty good on their part. Let's see. Big O, why are the Dolphins giving Tua another chance? Because you hate him, Fins Up. And since you hate him, they want to piss you off. And that's what they told me. They said, Fins Up hates Tua. He doesn't believe in him. So let's just piss the guy off and let's bring Tua back. So you can blame it on your hate. If you love Tua, they would have cut him just because you love him. So what else do we have here? Same jive, new year. Cam Ward is a generational player. I don't know, bro. I'm still not convinced about Cam Ward at the next level. I think he's going to have a little bit of a struggle. He's got all the talent to be a heck of a player, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough organized football from him. I saw a lot of sandlot stuff, and I know he kept the Canes afloat, but he played behind a line that at times was giving him half a minute to throw the ball. I think there's going to be some struggles with him early on. Not that he lacks any ability, none whatsoever. Doesn't lack any cojones. He's not a fearful guy or anything. He doesn't shy away from big moments. You love all of that about him. But I don't see the same structure in his game that I can see from Shedeur transferring to the NFL a lot faster. Put it that way. So I wouldn't be surprised that Cam struggles early. Put it that way. I wouldn't be surprised. I think a lot of the stuff that you've seen here with him, you'll never see in the NFL because he'll never get the kind of time that he would get here in college. So anyway, Big O, the pick you would get for Weaver leaving in 2026 would be a third rounder. You'd get a third rounder. By the way, I don't know if you get it right there the year after or you get it the same draft. You know what? I'm not even sure if you're right about 2026 because if you get hired in the next couple of weeks, it's way before the draft and way before you even announce compensatory picks. So you could easily slide those picks in there with compensatory. I'm not sure now. I am speaking totally out of ignorance here. I'm not sure what the rule is. If you lose the coach and you get the compensation, do you get it immediately with the draft that comes up, or do you wait a year after? That part I'm not sure. Somebody can look it up or something like that, but that part I don't know. So if I don't know something, I have no problems telling you guys I don't know. I love Cam, but you're not going to be able to pat the ball 20 minutes in the pocket and then run. I know. It's just there wasn't a lot of 3, 5, and 7 step drop, plant, throw. In fact, there was none of that in his game pretty much at the University of Miami. So you need to have a lot of that in the NFL. A lot. Not all the time. You're going to have to ad lib sometimes. Plays are going to break down. You got the running game, all that kind of stuff. But there's a level of that has to exist in the NFL. Has to exist. And I just, I wonder about that part. But we'll see. What can I tell you? Promote from within a loser makes sense, LOL. Tank for Arch Manning in 2026. Does Arch only play 1 year next year? Is that what it is? It's been going on so long. You're probably right. But I know he got redshirted, right? Wouldn't he have at least 2 years? God, he only has 1 year? That would kind of suck. I would like to see Arch Manning play at least 2 years. I hope he has 2 years. I hope that's the case. So we'll see. All right. Any other questions? Before we wrap it up here, and we appreciate all of you out there, please don't forget, smash the hell out of the like button. We got well over 300 people and only 100 likes. So if you can, please smash the hell out of the like button. Would be really, really nice. We'd appreciate it immensely. A team loses a minority coach to another team where they become a head coach or general manager. The original team receives 2 third-round compensatory picks in the following 2 drafts. Oh, so they get one this year and next year. Is that how it is, Finrule? Wow. Okay. I like it. I'll take it. Hey, bro, I'm a Dolphins fan. We need as much help as possible. So that would be absolutely beautiful. And as one of our listeners pointed that shit out, that they would end up with Salah, who is another minority. Not that he's going to get a job right away or anything, but again, hey, whatever advantage you can get, use it. True Fin Fan says Shedeur Sanders is much better QB than Ward. 10-second holding the ball and those cross the body field throws. Oh, yeah, that cross the body field throws in the NFL, he's dead. Yeah, a lot of the bad habits that he has, it will be a disaster in the NFL. That's why it's, you know what I like to do, True Fin Fan. It's prisoner of the moment, what I like to do. It's one of those things. You're so excited about Cam, you're not really looking at the player and then looking at how it translates to the next level. You know what I'm saying? But with Shedeur, I think Shedeur is absolutely perfect for the NFL. I really do. I have a solution. I just want the team to do better. I will leave the details to the Big O when the situation should come up. You got it, Badger. Weaver has to be with the Finns for 2 seasons for them to get a pick. Oh, nice job by you, Richard. So typical. That's so Dolphins. We get screwed. Okay. All right. Typical Dolphins. That sucks. Hateful Steve, thank you for the love on Venmo, sir. You say David pulled a fast one. Yes, if Tua was healthier, then we would have made the playoffs, but it would be the result of beating more of the garbage opponents than actually beating a better team. Well, that's all depends on the better teams. That depends on your team, not just on the quarterback, because that's been going on for 40 years. You know what I'm saying? Didn't matter. Shula was losing to all the better teams usually in all the big moments, in the second half of his career. Everything that's been going on now has been going on forever. Okay? The only thing is when you have Shula, you win some of those games. But when you have lesser coaches, you're not going to win those kind of games. That's all. But, you guys can all lay it on just one person. Because, of course, it's that one person that has everything to do with it. When you're missing that one person, you lose all your games, pretty much. I mean, kind of tells you there's a huge difference without the guy. But, hey, whatever. It is what it is. Kickback, thank you for the love on the super chat. Appreciate it. What else do we have? Chances Mike gets an actual offensive coordinator. Did you not hear the press conference and have the conversation? What part of you do not pay attention? The guy just said that he is calling the plays. There's no offensive coordinator. He's the guy. Just like somebody on Twitter asked me, what do you think they'll make a coaching? I go, did you listen to the owner? He put out a statement. The statement was made by the owner. Nobody's getting fired. So there are no changes. Did you hear the head coach? The head coach says he's calling the plays. That's it. Questions answered. You're not getting what you want. I'm not getting what I want. That's just the way it goes. I've been telling you this for weeks now. Stop doing it. It's over. Move on. Turn the page. Worry about the draft picks, the free agency, anything and everything that goes on with that stuff. That's it. And hope that they can better what they have. I wanted McDaniel gone. You wanted Tua gone. I wanted McDaniel gone. You want Grier and Tua and McDaniel gone. You want Stephen Ross to sell. I want McDaniel gone. We're not getting what we want. Okay? Live with it. That's it. Oh, you called it. Patriots are interviewing Vrabel on Thursday. Well, forget the interview. They'll hire him. He's going to go there. That's where he's got a young quarterback. They got a high pick. They got some players on that team already. He is their kind of guy. It was stupid for them to hang on to Mayo, just like it's stupid for us to hang on to this guy, but it's what we're doing. So I get it. It's a package deal. And I'm afraid, as much as I like a lot of those people in the building, I think them riding, the coattails of Mike McDaniel is a huge mistake, an enormous mistake. But what are you going to do? Let's see. Captain Saki just got out of the water. What did I miss? Well, you can rewind and check it out. We did our interview, post-interview, wrapping up the press conference from Grier and McDaniel. Okay. Mattel Dulio, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chat. We will be lucky to get a 4th-round pick for Reek. There'll be no trade either. There's no trade. I'm trying to tell you guys, there's no retirement from Grier. There's no trade coming from Tyreek. Nothing. Stop with that. Nothing. There's no trade for Dalvin Cook. No, nothing. That's it. And as Grier told you now in the press conference, as I've told you on the show, if you listen every day, you get the nuggets. I told you it wasn't that they never went after a quarterback. I know they went after quarterbacks. Just they didn't get them. And they're going to go after him again this year. And I think because of Tua's injuries, they're going to get him now. For some strange reason, Tua staying healthy all last year scared away those guys, I think. It's crazy, but it is. And now that he went back to being who he normally is, the guy that gets injured all the time because he's an idiot, okay, well then now you're going to get your backup quarterback because they're going to go, all right, I get to play. And that's it. So, Tua will open up that. That's why I say you go get a Garoppolo or a Josh Dobbs, okay, kind of fit your system, Okay, you get that. You got a backup, and then you draft a young kid. Why? You have to. You have to start developing. What if you get lucky? What if you draft a kid in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, and you get lucky and Tua gets injured again? Kid comes off the bench and kicks ass. That's it. But you got to be prepared because Tua's going to do stupid shit. It's what he does. This is how we must view Tua this way. We can no longer view Tua like he's responsible or that he really gives a shit about his teammates because he's full of shit. Like he really gives a shit about the fan base or the front office or the ownership or his family. He doesn't give a shit about it. He just cares about whatever crazy decision he wants to make playing football, and he doesn't care if he hurts himself or if he ends up with, whatever kind of trauma from it and how it affects his family or that he's out and he ruins the season like he did this year. He doesn't give a shit. That's the way we have to look at it. So if you're the front office, you have to look at when you sit down and talk to Tua and tell him missing games is unacceptable and he tells you, yes, coach, you have to look at him and say, you're full of shit. I'm not going to believe in anything. So we're going to go get a backup that can keep the ship afloat. And somehow if I can find a young guy and somehow that young guy surprises, guess what? You may not win. You may not get your job back. So you want to keep playing stupid? We need to start playing and protecting ourselves. So the Dolphins have to kind of be aggressive in that area. And if there is a Jackson Dart, and you like him, then take him. If Quinn Ewers is second round material and he's there and you think this guy's got franchise, okay, none of them are going to bail you out right now, but at least you got something in the hopper that you can start to develop. And you know what? This is the best thing. If you bring in a Garoppolo or a Dobbs and you draft somebody, Tua's going to go, oh, shit. Wow. They don't have slapdicks behind me anymore. This isn't a jabroni Brissett. No. We're not getting jabroni Brisket. I'm sorry. We're not getting Skylar Thompson. No. Oh, shit. I better not screw around because I'm going to find myself not getting my job back if Jimmy Garoppolo comes in and plays well and they say, well, Tua, he's playing well right now and, we can't trust you anymore. And you keep making stupid decisions. So we're going to stay with the hot hand right now. So that's what you have to do now. You have to have somebody ready when he does something stupid. You're not going to get anybody better because none of those guys are better. But you got to do something. So that's why I throw out Garoppolo and Dobbs as backup quarterbacks and options for the Dolphins. And then I say, okay, and I'm going to have more for you on quarterbacks over the next couple of days, over the next week. I'm going to give you a little overview of some of the guys in the middle rounds, okay? Because the first two guys, you can forget about that shit. Just screw that. We're not even talking about those guys. That's for the teams with the top picks. But there's some other guys, and I'm still kind of digging in and asking some of my friends. It's a little early for all that, but they haven't really gathered all that information. But there's a couple guys that I know that are quarterback geeks. So I'm trying to reach out to those guys to see what they think of the class that's coming in. Okay. But for now, I can throw out, Jackson Dart, and I can throw out Quinn Ewers if he declares. By the way, he hasn't even declared yet. We don't even know what the kid's going to do because he's still in the playoffs. But we have no idea. But I'm just throwing those kind of names out there. We'll give you some other ones. But I think if you're the Dolphins, you have to try to take a stab at one of those. If you can. You don't reach. You don't try to trade or anything like that. You don't go any crazy. But if one falls to you there and you say, hey, this guy's worth trying to teach and maybe there's something there, I think it behooves you. Now, here's the knock on this. Are we making Mike McDaniel make that pick? Because I don't want anything. I don't want him to do anything with picking a quarterback because he didn't know Skylar Thompson couldn't play. That's the only, that's the knock right now. I don't want his input. I don't trust him. I don't give him that much credit that like Furones does for Tua's improvement. I give him credit for believing in Tua, but Tua's performances and everything that he's done it on his own. I think Mike McDaniel is more a detriment to Tua than he is a help to Tua as a player. He was a help emotionally. He is not a help as an offensive coordinator and a play caller. He hurts his quarterbacks. Doesn't matter which quarterback it is, by the way. Does not matter. You could be Skyler, you can be Snoop, you can be Tua. You are at a disadvantage if that guy's on the sidelines calling the plays for you. Those are facts. That's proven. Okay? You fucked Skyler with not knowing the goddamn down. You screw Tua constantly because you can't get the play in on time. You don't dedicate yourself to the run, which hurts Snoop or hurts Tua or whatever. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Same bullshit. All right, folks, I got to go, man. I've done 3 shows today. Okay? 3 freaking shows. All right? 3 shows. So we got to wrap it up. We appreciate all of you out there as always. Thank you. If you send in a super chat, if you visit our amazing sponsors, all of that. We will see you tomorrow morning. Same time, same place, same bat channel.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.